I'm lucky enough to get to talk to a lot of bow hunters every day about broadheads, bow hunting, arrow lethality, and I also check out some of the comments that are posted on social media. And one of the things I hear a lot is that people select broadheads based on whether they have vented blades or not. Some guys saying, I'd never use that head, it's got vents in it, it's too noisy. And bow hunters ask me for broadhead selection tips, and it always comes up, broadhead vents, and it makes the head whistle, it makes the head scream, it makes the head noisy. So today we're going to do a little bit of myth busting, in that we're going to take a few heads and we're going to try to see if vents really do cause noise. So stay tuned. These are the heads that we're going to use for this evaluation. Plain old Scotch tape going over the vents. That's why you see X's in the vents. So we've got a Magnus, we've got an iron will, and we threw in a 3-blade head because they have vents too. So those 3 heads will be shot covering the vents with tape. We'll do some shots covering the vents with tape. We'll do it again without the vents to see if there is a difference. To remove as many variables and reasons for people to complain or object, we are going to use one arrow and only one arrow for the entire test. So people can't say, well, yeah, but maybe that other arrow had noisier fletching. So all of these will be shot from this one arrow, a gold tip, 3 blazer vanes, and a lighted knock. This is a pretty standard whitetail setup, and our weight so this is a pretty standard Midwestern, even for some guys out west, arrow setup. Nothing elaborate, nothing to object to. So every arrow, whether it be field tip or the 3 broadheads that we're going to shoot, are all going to be fired with this arrow. We'll shoot, we'll unscrew the tip, put on a new tip, so we can't blame or say fletching variations caused noise variations. One arrow for every head. And for the control, we're going to use a field point. I contend that there'll be a lot of noise from the arrow and the fletching itself, and we'll want to gauge that. So we'll shoot a control, several shots, so you get your ear used to hearing what the arrow sounds like before I even put a broadhead on. But again, it will be this same arrow. Every shot will be taken with the same arrow. The bow I'll be using is a Bowtech RPM 360 set at 64 pounds. Hey buddy, I'm going to be doing a YouTube video on broadhead vent noise, so you might want to steer clear for a little bit. The target's back there, so I know you like hanging out here and drinking the water and stuff, but say hi to our YouTube viewers. Well, now you're shy. Alright, see, take off. Alright, so here we're going to be shooting. There are our various broadheads. That's the setup with the microphones. There's our buddy Bob Crane. Hey, Bob. You have to move along now, bud. What do you think? Time to get going. We got stuff to do. I also did a test where I used a little bit thicker tape to make sure it didn't sink in. I tested them all with the clear masking tape, and now I have also tested them with a little bit heavier freezer tape, I guess is a good term for it. So now you've heard what you've heard. I tried to make it as unbiased as possible, covering the lenses so that you couldn't see which head was being shot. Now, I know this isn't every broadhead on the market. These are a few popular heads, but what I heard was that it didn't really make any difference whether there were vents or whether the vents were covered. Certainly fletching accounts for the bulk of the noise. When you listen to the fletching sound of just the field point, it sounded pretty much like every broadhead, and it masked everything. Uncovering or covering the vents, it was the fletching that I heard. But again, this was a small sample size, take it for what it's worth. I think if I tested more heads, I think the results would still be the same. Now, when I was doing this video, I asked this question in the form of a poll on about a dozen different bow hunting groups on social media. I asked, do you think vents make broadheads louder? Yes, no, or I don't know. Across the board, in the upper 90 percentile, the answer was yes. Vents in broadheads will make them noisier. And that's what I've been hearing from people over the phone and emails when people ask me to make a broadhead suggestion for them. It's always vents. They're worried about vents making noise. So take it for what it's worth. I don't think vents are the issue. In fact, I think fletching is more of a concern, the type and style and length. And I think I know what my next test is going to be about in relationship to noise. So I hope you found value in this. Again, it was a small sample size, but I think there was something to be taken from it. As far as my friend Bob Crane, I had to console him. He got his rear handed to him by some turkeys. He got in a street fight with some local turkeys. I had to console him. I've got a video that I'm going to put down in the description below. Bob is kind of a jerk. He hangs around here a lot, and you'll understand why when you see the video that I'm linking in the description. So I hope you got some value out of this. Thanks for watching. Are you able to predict what the next Mythbuster video is about? Since we learned that fletching accounts for the bulk of the noise flying downrange, we're going to try a few. Stay tuned.